My beloved brothers and sisters, there comes a moment in life when you feel hurt, deeply hurt. Words were said, trust was broken, expectations were shattered. And you sit there wondering, why me? But let me tell you something powerful. The day you truly understand your connection with Allah is the day no one can ever hurt you again. Why? Because you begin to realize your worth was never in the hands of people to begin with. The one who created you, the one who knows every tear you have cried, every silent pain you've carried, he is the one who defines your value. People will talk, people will judge. Bika, people will judge. People will misunderstand you. But ask yourself, do they know your intentions? Do they see your qabling heart? Do they know your sujood in the darkness of the night? Only Allah does. And that's enough. You see, the problem is not that people hurt us. The problem is that we allow their words to settle in our hearts. We replay them, we overthink them, we give them power they never deserved. But when your qalbing is attached to Allah, something changes. You start to say, if Allah knows the truth about me, then I don't need validation from anyone else. And suddenly, their words lose weight, their actions lose impact. Their negativity loses control over you. My brothers and sisters, every pain you go through is not a punishment. It is a purification. Allah is not trying to break you. He is preparing you, elevating you, bringing you closer to Him. Sometimes Allah removes people from your life because they were never meant to stay. And sometimes He allows you to be hurt so you turn back to Him with sincerity you never had before. So don't let pain make you bitter. Let it make you better. Forgive. Not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. Because carrying hatred in your heart only weighs you down, not them. And remember this, when you rely on people, you will always be disappointed. But when you rely on Allah, you will never be broken. Stand firm. Make your salah stronger. Make your dawah deeper. Strengthen that connection with your Lord. Because once your heart is attached to Allah, no insult can shake you. No betrayal can destroy you. No hardship can defeat you. You become unbreakable, not because life is easy, but because your faith is strong. And that is the moment no one can hurt you anymore. There is something deeply liberating about realizing that your worth does not come from people, but from Allah. So many of us go through life measuring ourselves through the eyes of others. We feel valuable when we are praised, and we feel small when we are criticized. Single comment can lift our mood and another can completely destroy it. But this is a fragile way to live because people are unstable in their opinions. Today they love you, tomorrow they may turn away. Today they praise you, tomorrow they may forget you. If your worth is tied to people, then your peace will always be in their hands. But the moment you shift your understanding and recognize that your worth comes from Allah alone, everything begins to change. Allah is the one who created you with precision and purpose. He chose for you your appearance, your abilities, your circumstances, and even the challenges you face. Nothing about you is random. Nothing about you is a mistake. When you begin to see yourself through this lens, you no longer feel the need to chase validation from people who themselves are lost and searching. Think about it. The one who created the entire universe, the one who controls every heartbeat, every breath, every moment of existence, He knows you personally. He knows your struggles, your intentions, your silent efforts that no one else sees. While people may judge you based on what is apparent, Allah judges you based on what is hidden within your heart. And that alone should be enough to ground you. Often we feel hurt because someone undermines us, disrespects us, or makes us feel insignificant. But if you truly internalize that Allah values you, then the opinions of people begin to lose their weight. How can the words of creation harm you when the Creator Himself knows your true worth? How can the judgment of people define you when Allah has already honored you? This does not mean you become arrogant or dismissive of others. Rather, it gives you a quiet confidence, a calm strength. You walk through life knowing that you do not need to prove yourself to anyone. You do not need to exhaust yourself trying to please everyone. Your focus shifts from pleasing people to pleasing Allah. And that shift brings a kind of peace that cannot be shaken. When you seek validation from people, you will always feel like you are not enough. There will always be someone better, someone more successful, someone more admired. But that's a bit low. But when you seek acceptance from Allah, you realize that He does not expect perfection from you. He expects sincerity. He looks at your effort, your intention, your struggle to do what is right even when it is difficult. There will be moments when people misunderstand you. They may question your choices, doubt your intentions, or even speak against you. In those moments, instead of feeling broken, remind yourself that Allah knows the truth. And if Allah is pleased with you, then what people think becomes secondary. This understanding also protects your heart from being easily hurt. When someone criticizes you, you reflect calmly, is there truth in what they are saying? If there's truth in what they are saying, if there is, you improve yourself for the sake of Allah. And if there isn't, you let it go, knowing that your value is not determined by their words. You no longer carry unnecessary emotional burdens because you are no longer dependent on people's approval. Living with this mindset does not mean you will never feel pain. You are human and emotions are part of your nature. But the difference is that the pain will not define you or destroy you. It will pass through you without settling in your heart, because your heart is anchored to something far greater. When you truly understand that your worth comes from Allah, you begin to live with purpose. You begin to focus on what truly matters. Your actions become more sincere, your ibadat more meaningful, your relationship with Allah stronger. You stop competing for attention and start striving for acceptance in the sight of your Lord. And perhaps the most beautiful part of this realization is the freedom it brings. Freedom from insecurity, from constant comparison, from the need to be liked by everyone. You become content with who you are, not because you are perfect, but because you know that you are created by the one who does not make mistakes. So the next time you feel hurt by someone's words or actions, pause for a moment and remind yourself, my worth was never in their hands. It was always with Allah. And when you hold on to that truth firmly, you will find that people may still speak, they may still judge, they may still misunderstand, but they will no longer have the power to break you. There is a powerful reality that many people overlook in moments of pain. What people say about you can never change what Allah knows about you. Human beings speak from limited knowledge. They see fragments of your life, moments of your behavior, pieces of your personality, and then they form conclusions as if they know the whole story. But Allah sees everything. What is dahir and what is hidden, what is felt, what is done publicly, and what is carried silently within your heart. Sometimes people will misunderstand you completely. They may assume your intentions were bad when in reality you were trying your best to do what is right. They may accuse you, label you, or reduce you to a single mistake. And when those words reach you, they can feel heavy. They can shake your confidence and make you question yourself. But this is where your iman must step in and remind you of a higher truth. Allah knows. He knows the sincerity behind your actions. He knows the nights you struggled, the tears you hid, the dua you made when no one was around. He knows the battles you are fighting within yourself that no one else can see. So how can the words of people override the knowledge of the one who knows everything? When you truly internalize this, something inside you becomes steady. You no longer feel the need to defend yourself in every situation. You no longer feel desperate to correct every misunderstanding or respond to every accusation. Because you realize that even if you manage to convince people, their understanding will always remain incomplete. But Allah's knowledge is perfect and absolute. There is a certain peace that comes from knowing that your reality is mahfuzov with Allah. People may twist your words, they may misinterpret your silence, they may even spread things about you that are not true. But none of that changes your reality in the sight of Allah. And that is what truly matters. This does not mean you ignore accountability or refuse to improve yourself. If someone points out a genuine flaw, you take it as an opportunity to grow. You reflect honestly and strive to become better. But you do not allow false accusations or baseless criticism to define you. You do not let them settle in your heart and distort your sense of self. One of the reasons people suffer deeply from what others say, it's because they start believing it. A negative comment repeated often enough begins to feel like truth. But you must be careful about what you allow into your qalbim. Not every voice deserves a place there. Not every opinion is worthy of your attention. Instead, remind yourself, the one whose opinion truly matters already knows the truth about me. And his judgment is not based on assumptions or appearances. It is based on knowledge that is complete, precise, and just. There will be moments when you are wronged, when your name is dragged into conversations you were never part of, when your intentions are questioned unfairly. In those moments, you may feel the urge to react, to defend yourself, to prove your innocence. And sometimes it is necessary to clarify things. But beyond a certain point, you must learn to let go. Because constantly trying to manage people's perceptions will exhaust you. It will drain your energy and distract you from what truly matters. Your focus should not be on controlling what people say about you, because that is something you will never fully control. Your focus should be on maintaining your sincerity with Allah. Ask yourself, if Allah is pleased with me, does it really matter if people misunderstand me? If Allah knows my intention was pure, does it matter if people doubt me? If Allah sees my effort, does it matter if people overlook it? These questions shift your perspective. They bring your heart back to its center. They remind you that your relationship with Allah is far more important than your reputation among NASA. And over time, this understanding builds resilience within you. You become less reactive, less affected by rumors and criticism. You learn to stay grounded even when people speak against you. Not because you are indifferent, but because you are anchored to something greater. You also begin to develop a sense of humility. You realize that just as people may misunderstand you, you too may misunderstand others. This makes you more careful with your own words. You become less judgmental, more compassionate, more aware of how limited human perception can be. At the end of the day, people's words are temporary. They come and go, they rise and fade. But Allah's knowledge is constant. It does not change. It does not waver. It does not get influenced by rumors or emotions. So hold on to that truth. When someone speaks about you in a way that hurts, remind yourself gently, this is their perspective, not my reality. My reality is known to Allah. And that is enough. When you live with this conviction, you protect your heart from unnecessary pain. You stop giving people the power to define you. You stop allowing their words to shake your identity. Because you know that no matter what is said, no matter how loud the voices become, there is a higher truth that remains untouched. And that truth is with Allah. There is a subtle but powerful truth that many people do not realize. Pain does not control you on its own. It only grows when you give it a place to stay in your heart. Every human being experiences hurt through words, actions, disappointments, and broken expectations. This is part of life, but not every person carries that pain in the same way. Some people feel it, process it, and move forward. Others hold on to it, replay it, and allow it to shape their thoughts, emotions, and even their identity. The difference is not always in what happened to them, but in how much space they allowed that pain to occupy within them. When something hurts you, the initial feeling is natural. You are not expected to be emotionless. Even the strongest believers felt sadness, betrayal, and difficulty. But what happens after that moment is where your control begins. You can either let that pain pass to harap's bit low, harap like a temporary guest, or you can hold on to it, revisit it, and give it a permanent home. Many times, we unintentionally feed our pain. We replay conversations again and again in our minds. We think about what we should have said, what we could have done differently, how unfair it was. Each time we revisit that moment, we reopen the wound. Instead of allowing it to heal, we keep it fresh. And over time, that pain becomes heavier, not because of what originally happened, but because of how much attention we continue to give it. When you constantly focus on what hurt you, it begins to shape your mindset. You start to see things through the lens of that pain. You become more sensitive, more reactive, more guarded. Small things begin to affect you more than they should because the wound has not been allowed to close. But when your heart is connected to Allah, you begin to approach pain differently. You start to understand that not every hurt deserves your attention. Not every negative experience deserves to live in your thoughts. You become more selective about what you allow into your qalbin. You remind yourself that this life is temporary and so are its difficulties. The words that hurt you will fade. The situation that troubled you will pass. The people who caused you pain may not even be part of your life in the future. So why give something temporary a permanent place in your heart? This does not mean you ignore your feelings or suppress them. It means you acknowledge them, but you do not let them control you. You feel the pain, you turn to Allah with it, you make dua, you seek comfort in your salah, and then you begin to release it. Holding on to pain often comes from a desire for justice, closure, or validation. You want things to be set right. You want the other person to understand what they did. You want an apology, an acknowledgement. And when that does not happen, you keep holding on to the pain as if it will somehow bring you that closure. But the truth is sometimes closure does not come from people. It comes from your connection with Allah. It comes from trusting that He sees what happened, that He knows the zalim, and that His justice is perfect, even if it is not immediate. When you reach that level of trust, you begin to let go. Not because what happened was acceptable, but because you refused to let it continue hurting you. You refused to let someone else's actions had ongoing control over your inner peace. Another important realization is that your heart has limited space. It cannot be filled with everything. If you fill it with resentment, anger, and past hurt, there will be little room left for peace, gratitude, and closeness to Allah. But when you clear that space, when you choose to release what no longer benefits you, your heart becomes lighter. You begin to notice a shift. You feel calmer. You think more clearly. You react less emotionally. Things that once triggered you no longer have the same effect. Not because you have forgotten what happened, but because you have stopped feeding it. And this is where true strength lies. Not in never feeling pain, but in not allowing it to control your life. There is a quiet power in saying, yes, that hurt me, but I will not let it define me. There is strength in choosing peace over prolonged suffering. There is wisdom in understanding that some battles are not worth fighting within your own heart. When you stop giving pain unnecessary space, you also open the door to healing. Healing is not something that happens instantly. It is a process. But it becomes possible when you stop holding on to what is hurting you. You also begin to trust Allah more deeply. You realize that every hardship has a purpose. Even if you do not fully understand it, you start to see pain not as something that destroys you, but as something that can refine you, strengthen you, and bring you closer to your Creator. So the next time you are hurt, take a step back and ask yourself, am I feeling this pain, or am I feeding it? Am I allowing it to pass, or am I holding on to it? Because at the end of the day, pain will knock on your heart. That is inevitable. But whether it stays or leaves is to a large extent up to you. And when you learn to limit the space you give to pain, you protect your peace, your iman, and your connection with Allah. There is a perspective that changes everything when you truly absorb it. The tests you face in life are not sent to destroy you, but to elevate you. At first, this can be difficult to accept. When you are in the middle of hardship, when things feel overwhelming, when you are struggling emotionally or physically, it does not feel like elevation. It feels heavy. It feels unfair. It feels like you are being pushed to your limits. But sometimes what feels like pressure is actually preparation. Allah does not test you randomly. Every test is measured, every difficulty is known, and every challenge is given with purpose. The one who created you knows exactly what you are capable of tahmil. He knows your strengths even when you doubt them. He knows how far you can go even when you feel like you cannot take another step. So when a test comes into your life, it is not because you are weak. It is because there is something within you that Allah is bringing out. Think about how growth works in any aspect of life. Nothing develops without pressure. Strength is built through resistance. Patience is built through delay. Trust is built through uncertainty. And faith is strengthened through trials. If everything in your life was easy, if everything went according to your plan, you might feel comfortable, but you would not grow in the way your soul needs to grow. Sometimes a test comes to wake you up. You may have been distant from Allah, distracted by dunya, or too focused on things that do not truly matter. Then suddenly, a difficulty enters your life and it shifts your attention. You begin to make dua more sincerely. You turn back to Allah with a qalb that is softer, more aware, more harder. That test, which felt like a burden, becomes a means of reconnecting you with your Creator. At other times, the test comes to purify you. We all make mistakes. We all fall short. And through hardship, Allah cleanses us, removes sins, and raises our status. A moment of patience in difficulty can elevate you in ways that years of ease cannot. A tear shed in sincerity can bring you closer to Allah than a lifetime of comfort. It is also important to understand that elevation does not always come in the form you expect. Sometimes you expect success, recognition, or immediate relief, but instead you are given endurance, patience, and inner strength. And these are far greater because they stay with you. They shape who you are. They prepare you not just for this life, but for the hereafter. There will be moments when you feel like you are being pushed down by your circumstances. But in reality, you are being pushed down by your circumstances. But in reality, you are being raised in ways you cannot yet see. Just because something is difficult does not mean it is harmful. Sometimes the very thing you are struggling with is the thing that is building you. When you change your perspective on tests, you begin to approach them differently. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You begin to ask, what is Allah teaching me through this? Instead of seeing it as a punishment, you start to see it as a force for growth, for reflection, for strengthening your connection with Him. This shift does not remove the pain completely, but it gives it meaning. an. B, when pain has meaning, it becomes easier to tahammul it. You are no longer suffering without purpose. You are going through a process that is shaping you into someone stronger, more patient, more connected to Allah. It is also important to remember that tests are temporary. No matter how long they last, they will pass. The difficulty you are facing today will not remain forever. But what will remain is who you became through that difficulty. The patience you developed, the strength you discovered, the closeness to Allah you built. These are lasting etara. There is also a special may come for those who remain patient during tests. Not just patient in the sense of tahmil, but patient with trust, patient with hope, patient while continuing to do what is right. This kind of patience is not passive, it is active. It is active. It is a conscious choice to remain firm even when things are hard. And Allah sees that. Every moment of patience, every effort you make to stay strong, every time you choose faith over despair, it is all known to Him. Nothing is wasted. Even when it feels like no one understands what you are going through, Allah understands completely. Sometimes you will only realize the wisdom behind the test much later. You will look back and see how it changed you, how it redirected your life, how it protected you from something you did not even know about. And in that moment, you will understand that what you once saw as a hardship was actually a hidden mercy. So when you are tested, remind yourself gently, this is not meant to break me. There is something in this for me. There is growth in this. There is elevation in this. Even if I do not see it now, I trust that Allah does not place me in any situation without purpose. Hold on to that trust. Let it anchor you when things feel unstable. Let it give you strength when you feel weak. Because the path of elevation is not always easy, but it is always worth it. And when you come out of that test stronger, wiser, closer to Allah, you will realize that what you went through did not destroy you. It raised you. There is a powerful shift that takes place within a person when they truly understand that forgiveness is not about the other person. It is about freeing themselves. It is about freeing themselves. Many people hold on to pain because they feel that forgiving someone means letting them get away with it. They feel that by holding on to anger, they are somehow maintaining justice or protecting their dignity. But in reality, holding on to resentment does not harm the other person as much as it harms you. When someone hurts you, the pain is real. The betrayal, the disrespect, the disappointment, it all leaves a mark. And it is natural to feel upset. But what often happens is that the moment passes, yet the pain remains because you keep it alive within yourself. You replay what happened, you revisit the emotions, you hold on to the anger, and without realizing it, you allow that person's actions to continue affecting you long after the event is over. Forgiveness breaks that cycle. Forgiveness breaks that cycle. Forgiving someone does not mean what they did was acceptable. It does not mean you forget what happened, and it certainly does not mean you allow them to continue hurting you. Forgiveness simply means you choose not to carry the burden of that pain anymore. You decide that your peace is more important than holding on to resentment. When you refuse to forgive, your heart becomes heavy. It fills with thoughts of what happened, with feelings of injustice, with a desire for things to be set right. And the more you hold on to it, the more it affects your inner state. It can make you more irritable, more negative, more closed off. It can even impact your relationship with Allah, because a kalbam that is full of bitterness struggles to find calmness in every date. But when you choose to forgive, something begins to lift. It may not happen instantly, but gradually you feel lighter. The constant replaying of the hurt begins to fade. The emotional intensity decreases. The emotional intensity decreases. You start to regain control over your thoughts and your feelings. Forgiveness is an act of strength, not weakness. It takes strength to let go when your nafs wants to hold on. It takes strength to choose peace when your ego demands revenge or validation. And this is why forgiveness is so beloved in Islam. It reflects a qalbin that is not controlled by emotions, but guided by faith. When you forgive for the sake of Allah, you are not losing anything. In fact, you are gaining something far greater. You are gaining reward from Allah. You are gaining inner peace. You are gaining freedom from a burden that was weighing you down. There is also a deeper level of understanding that helps make forgiveness easier. When you reflect on your own life, you realize that you too have made mistakes. You too have hurt others intentionally or unintentionally, and you constantly seek forgiveness from Allah. You hope that He will overlook your shortcomings, that He will show you mercy despite your flaws. So when you forgive others, you are also aligning yourself with that same mercy. You are treating people with the kind of compassion that you hope Allah will show you. And this creates a beautiful balance in your heart. Sometimes the hardest part of forgiveness is not the act itself, but the attachment to the pain. You may feel that letting go means losing something. Your right, your voice, your sense of justice. But in reality, you are not losing anything. You are simply choosing not to let that pain define you anymore. It is also important to understand that forgiveness does not always require reconciliation. You can forgive someone in your heart without allowing them back into your life in the same way. You can maintain boundaries while still letting go of resentment. Forgiveness is about what happens inside you, not necessarily about restoring the relationship. There will be situations where the other person never apologizes. They may not even realize the harm they caused, and waiting for an apology can keep you stuck. But when you for an apology can keep you stuck. But when you forgive, you release yourself from that intizar. You no longer depend on them to move forward. Over time, forgiveness transforms you. It softens your heart. It makes you more peaceful, more patient, more in control of your emotions. You become less reactive, less burdened by the past. You begin to live more in the present with a clearer mind and a lighter qalbem. And perhaps one of the most beautiful outcomes of forgiveness is that it strengthens your connection with Allah. When you let go for His sake, you feel closer to Him. You feel a sense of rida, a quiet contentment that comes from knowing you chose what is right over what is easy. So when you are holding on to pain, ask yourself, is this serving me? Is this bringing me closer to peace or further away from it? And if the answer is clear, then take that step, not for them, but for yourself. Because at the end of the day, forgiveness is not about changing the past. It is about protecting your future. It is about choosing a qalb that is free, a mind that is calm, and a soul that is at peace. And when you reach that point, you realize that by forgiving others, you did not weaken yourself. You set yourself free. There is a level of strength that is often misunderstood. Many people think strength means having control over everything, having life go exactly as planned, or never feeling pain. But true strength is something much deeper. It is the ability to trust Allah even when things do not make sense, even when life hurts, even when the outcome is uncertain. That kind of strength is not loud or visible. It is quiet, steady, and deeply rooted in faith. There will be moments in life when you feel overwhelmed, plans fall apart, people disappoint you, doors close unexpectedly, and you are left wondering what went wrong. In those moments, it is easy to feel shaken. It is easy to question, to doubt, to lose hope. But this is exactly where true strength is tested. Not when everything is going well, but when everything feels like it is going against you. Trusting Allah in times of ease is natural. When things are going your way, when you are happy, when life feels stable, it is easy to say you have faith. But trusting Him when you are in pain, that is something else entirely. That requires a qalbing that is deeply connected, a qalbing that believes even without seeing, a qalbing that holds on even when everything else feels like it is slipping away. When you trust Allah during hardship, you are making a powerful statement. You are saying, even though I do not understand this, I know there is wisdom behind it. Even though this hurts, I know you are still taking care of me. Even though I cannot see the outcome, I believe it will be khairah. This kind of trust does not remove the pain, but it transforms how you experience it. The hardship is still there, but it no longer feels meaningless. It becomes something you're going through with purpose, with hope, with a sense of direction. You are no longer lost in your struggle. You are anchored by your faith. One of the most difficult things for a person is to let go of control. We like to know what is coming next. We like certainty, clarity, and predictable outcomes. But life does not always work that way. There are times when you have to walk forward without knowing what lies ahead. And that uncertainty can feel uncomfortable, even frightening. But this is where trust in Allah becomes your strength. You realize that you may not know what is ahead, but Allah does. You may not understand the path, but He has already written it with knowledge and wisdom. And that realization brings a sense of calm, even in the middle of chaos. Trusting Allah also means accepting that not everything will happen according to your plan. Sometimes you want something deeply, you make dua for it, you work towards it, and still it does not happen. That can be painful, it can leave you feeling disappointed and confused. But true strength is being able to say, perhaps this was not good for me, and Allah knows what I do. This is not easy. It requires humility. It requires letting go of your own expectations and accepting that Allah's plan is better, even when it does not align with what you wanted. And over time, you begin to see the wisdom in that. You begin to realize that some things you once desired would not have brought you peace, and some things you feared were actually necessary for your growth. There is also a deep sense of comfort in knowing that Allah is always aware of your situation. He sees your struggle, He hears your dua. He knows the weight you are carrying, even when you do not express it to anyone. So when you place your trust in Him, you are not placing it in something distant or unaware. You are placing it in the one who is closest to you, who understands you better than you understand yourself. This trust allows you to remain steady. You do not collapse under pressure as easily. You do not lose yourself in moments of difficulty. You may feel pain, you may feel sadness, but there is a part of you that remains firm, that continues to believe, that continues to hope. And this is what makes you unbreakable. Not because you never face hardship, but because your foundation is strong. Your reliance is not on people, not on circumstances, not on outcomes. It is on Allah. When you build this kind of trust, your perspective on life changes. You become less anxious about the future, less attached to specific outcomes, less shaken by unexpected events. You learn to move forward with effort and sincerity while leaving the results in the hands of Allah. You also begin to see hardship differently. Instead of viewing it as something purely negative, you see it as part of your journey, something that is shaping you, teaching you, bringing you closer to your Creator. And that understanding gives you strength that goes beyond your own abilities. There will still be moments of dafet. You are human. There will be days when your trust feels tested, when your patience runs thin, when your qalbam feels heavy. But even in those moments, you return to Allah. You make dawah. You seek comfort in your salata. You remind yourself of who is in control, and slowly that trust rebuilds. It strengthens. It becomes a part of who you are. So when life hurts, when things do not go your way, when you feel uncertain or overwhelmed, hold on to this truth. True strength is not in having everything figured out. It is in trusting the one who has already written everything. And when that trust settles deeply in your heart, you will find that even in your weakest moments, you are stronger than you ever thought possible. So after everything that has been said, after every reminder and every reflection, it all comes down to this. Your heart was never meant to be controlled by people, by pain, or by circumstances. It was meant to be connected to Allah. When you truly understand your worth, you stop seeking it from those who cannot give it to you. When you realize that Allah knows your reality, the words of Nasser no longer shake you. When you stop feeding your pain, it begins to lose its hold over you. When you see your tests as a means of elevation, you find strength even in hardship. When you choose to forgive, you free your own soul. And when you trust Allah, especially when it hurts, you become stronger than anything life throws your way. This is not about becoming emotionless. This is not about pretending that nothing affects you. You will still feel, you will still go through ups and downs. But the difference is, those things will no longer break you. They will no longer define you. They will no longer control you. Because your qalbing is anchored to the one who never changes, the one who never dhalam you, the one who never misunderstands you, the one who never abandons you. And when your heart is truly connected to Allah, something incredible happens. You begin to walk through life with a quiet strength. You face difficulties with patience. You handle nasas with wisdom. You carry yourself with dignity. Not because life is easy, but because your faith is strong. So no matter who tries to hurt you, no matter what is said about you, no matter what you go through, remember this, they only have as much power as you give them. And the moment you give your heart fully to Allah is the moment you take that power back. And that is the moment no one can hurt you anymore.